Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another session of Triangular Talks. I'm Matangi, Program Director at Triangular Talks for Agora Math Circle. Triangular Talks is a forum where students interact with and hear directly from industry executives about how they use STEM concepts and problem-solving skills in their day-to-day work lives. This discussion typically revolves around the central idea of triangular method for problem solving, which starts with the problem statement followed by innovation, leading to a solution. One of the common questions students have top of mind is, why am I learning a certain concept? When will I ever use it? Through these talks, we hope to inspire students and continue to foster curiosity. Triangular Talks is typically a monthly session, hour-long Zoom sessions consisting of 3 parts. There's an intro, a presentation, followed by a Q&A. Today, we are thrilled to have Mr. Raj Neervannan as our speaker. Raj is the CTO and co-founder of AlphaSense, a groundbreaking AI-based market intelligence search engine used by over 1,000 investment firms and corporations globally. Raj is a visionary technologist and a serial entrepreneur and has led multiple venture firms. Before AlphaSense, Raj served as the CTO of multiple firms, as well as held several senior executive positions at software technology firms. He has an MBA from Wharton, a master's degree in mathematics, and a bachelor's degree in computer science, and another master's in operations research and computer science from Bowling University in Ohio. We're thrilled to have you, Mr. Raj. With that, I'll turn it over to you to get us started. If you don't mind sharing your screen, and maybe if you could give us a small intro about yourself and then get us started, that would be wonderful.
Great. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me, Matangi. It's a pleasure and honor. Many congratulations and best wishes to the team members who have built this group. I hear great things about Agora Math Circle and the wonderful work you guys are doing around Triangular Talks. And so it's a pleasure and honor to be speaking here. And I hope I can add some value over the next hour or so. And what we're going to do is to just I'll talk about a few seconds about myself and then get into what I did in the latest venture, which is AlphaSense. And then I will go into, I'll take some Q&A after that, then we can go to anything else you want to go. Does it work? Cool. Sounds good. So just a brief, before I jump in and share, just a quick intro about myself. I am Raj Neervannan. I'm the CTO and co-founder of AlphaSense. My other co-founder is Jack Coco. He and I met when we were doing our MBAs at Wharton in between 2006 and 2008. And so the idea for this product service came about out of our joint experiences when he was a Morgan Stanley analyst. If you guys know, Morgan Stanley is an investment bank company, and he was an analyst. He was working on researching stuff, and we were doing something similar as part of an MBA. You have to write out of essays and stuff. And so that's when this idea came. And so that's what I've been doing since 2008. I'll go into that a bit more. So I'm going to go back to before 2008, what happened. So I was born and raised in India, in Chennai. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. It's southern part of India. And it's pretty hot weather. Hot doesn't get any cooler. So, and I then did my bachelor's at BITS Pilani. I don't know if you know, it's in a desert called Rajasthan up north. So that was my first foray into leaving the house and going to a strange land. And this was late 80s. So right there was the first sort of exposure to trying new things. So I want to start off there because it's usually that's where you want to start thinking of. The biggest reason why people don't go into something new brand is because of intimidation of trying new things and leaving the comfort zone of doing something more, something different. So leaving the comfort zone of a home and going to college when I was barely 17 into a desert with just that was first kind of a thing. And then and I spent 4 or 5 years there. Then the next major change was to coming to the United States. It wasn't too popular then to come to US at the time. It was early 90s. It was just the beginning of a lot of immigrants coming here. But I came from a hot weather to a desert to a place called Ohio, very cold weather that I was not familiar with, Bowling Green, Ohio specifically. But it was a wonderful campus, and I really enjoyed studying operation research and computer science there. So as students, as you guys change from school to school, you should sort of venture into new areas, and this is part of growing up. So these things actually played a role in me trying things and being open-minded about going to new places, meeting new people. And then from there on, I spent several years and went down to Miami. I worked for a few years and got myself a green card and stuff like that. Then once I got it, I was able to try what I wanted to try, which is to build products and build companies. And so that was the beginning of my venture. In 2000, I started my very first startup with some funding and moved to Austin, Texas. Another move from Miami to Austin, Texas, and I raised a little bit of money based on just an idea. Not many of you may have been even born by then. Those are called .com era, when the first round of internet companies came out. So I was smitten by that idea, just like many of you should be smitten by the possibilities of AI right now. I was smitten by the concept of computers in the early 90s, and then I was smitten by the concept of interconnecting computers, reaching out to the larger number of people in the 2000s. And that gave me a lot of ideas to try things. Did a couple of startups. That's why you call a serial entrepreneur, someone who tries things, and success or failure they try to build. So I did that a few times. And then I got my MBA to sort of formalize my education. That's when I met my co-founder. So that's sort of a brief intro. Now let me get into the product itself. And I will do that right now. Let's see. All right, do you all see the screen? I'm just going to go into.
Yes.
See the screen? Okay, so I'm going to go to a slideshow mode, so it's easier for me also to talk. Okay. Oops, did I not put the right one in? That's not the one I wanted to share. No, that's not it. That's too early. Stop share, not that one. Sorry about that. Let's see, I'll try one more time. I have it right here. Let's see. Oh, this one, okay. Okay, got it? Seeing this one now?
Yes, we are. It's on slide 7 though.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go to this one. Okay. All right, cool. So so my topic here is how to build a better search engine. So as I mentioned, in 2006 through 8, when I met my co-founder, the idea was, how do we find information that is, easier to do our work as an analyst. As I mentioned, he didn't have a great tool, and then he was wondering if there was a tool. And during our work, doing an MBA, people must have in school work, you must be asked to do some research work, go find the information, put together an essay. And what you do is you go to Google and you look for some information, then you find, and that's what business people do in what work. And so we felt that it was not working so well. I'll go into that. So that was a topic. I'm going to explain to you why we did this and how we did that. Right. So let's see. All right. So, oops. All right. So the paradigm here is, as Matangi mentioned, you want to discuss the problems and then what kind of innovation we did, and then what kind of solutions we proposed and how we experimented that. So there is a little bit of slight change to this to real company is that you don't just have an innovation and then you just have a solution. You just don't go through. You have a lot of iterations in the process. So way too many iterations you go through, but then you always get market feedback, feedback from the real users. So with that as a backdrop, and the main problem that we were addressing was when we were trying to look for information, the Google, when you put in a keyword, Google gives you, top 10 results, and it tells you, hey, I found these keywords found in this document. And they didn't really understand how often you felt that you mentioned something about a word, product. It doesn't always come up with look for other variants of the word product. You may mean one thing, and the word that you type may have multiple words to mean the same thing. These are called synonyms, right? And so it doesn't really quite understand that. So that's one problem. It has a strict keyword limitation on how things work. Things have gotten better since the AI days, but this is 2008 and 9 that wasn't so then. So what you get is you get top 10 links. You wonder what else is out there, and you don't have the patience to go through each one of them. That's the second problem. Third is you have to open each document and then see what's inside it, then come back again after a while. So that slows you down. The third is, and fourth is that what else has happened since I tried the last time, and so that doesn't really flow into keeping you on a time scale, as opposed to something came up in the last 2 hours, something came up in the last day. It doesn't really tell you any of that. And finally, as I mentioned, even if you open up a document and find even inside the document, you have to go and find one at a time. So these problems don't seem to be obvious on the surface initially when you're using Google for fun, for simple projects, like doing like simple things. You're just looking for a flight or do one thing. Then Google kicks you out into a new zone. Most of the products that people had used for search sort of did only this. Nobody ever bothered to ask a question, could this be made better? And we decided to ask because we felt there was a pain in the process, and we decided to sort of make the pain more obvious. So the first step you want to do is not just identify the problems that you have, but you want to sort of amplify and sort of feel the magnitude of the problem. How big is the problem really? How much is it? You want to magnify and quantify that problem in terms of the irritation you feel or the time it takes for you to accomplish something. So that's step number one. And then you want to come up with ways to solve and then try that. So I'll come to that point. So going back to why, you have to go back to, before you propose something to innovate or solve, you got to understand why certain things work. You can't just assume that people haven't thought of this. Obviously, people are ended up stuck in a certain place because of some reason. So you have to give credit to people who have been working on it to some extent. So to that, you have to understand how search engines work. Search engines work by crawling all the web pages, and it then stores all of them. It organizes them by some categories, and then it ranks them by certain order. And then when you put in a query, tries to match with your query to the pages that seem to kind of come closest to what you have. And then based on some popularity contest, it's used to be called PageRank algorithm by Sergey and Brin, who founded Google in late 90s, based on how many people link back to it. And then they just ranked based on that and some few other factors, and then basically give you the top 10. It worked really well for internet consumer businesses. But if you go down under into it, it doesn't work for businesses, because the search index process is where the culprit is, sort of the main problem is. When it crawls and finds other links, it just visits each page and just grabs the content, and it sort of extracts the key important pieces of data here and there, sort of like you go to some place, you go to a mall, you don't remember everything about it, you just remember like one or two things. I remember this eatery, I remember this mall, just few things you remember, that's it. It loses all the other context on all the other information you could possibly be interested in. So it loses the vital information about all the semantics, all the information inside the page, just key things that it thinks it matters to the world. And then it indexes on them, meaning index is nothing but kind of like a glossary of a book. If you go to the book, you open up the back of the page, back of the book, you'll find that for the 100 pages you have in the first 100 pages of the book, last 5 pages of glossary where it says, for these keywords, you can find these keywords in this page. You're going to go back and look. That's exactly how the search index works. You just have to go back and find, and then they store that information. And then when you ask a question, they just look it up and go back. So as you can clearly tell, this is the one that scales, because internet scaled in trillions and trillions of documents. There's no way for them to index every single line and word in each page. And so they have to use this glossary of a page to sort of get to the keyword and the page that you're interested in. That's it. That's kind of is the way search engine worked. And that is great for a quick one-stop shop, looking for any information at a surface level. And then you are thrown into a link for you to go dig deeper after that. This is fine for, for normal purposes. But if you're trying to look for business information, I'm now going to go into the business side. Obviously, you are in school, you probably haven't heard of these terms, but business people do. When I say business people who work in companies that are looking to understand about other companies, and they go look for, or even if you are in the stock market, if you are in trading anything, you want to know what is the size of Apple, the company, how big is the market? You find the stock market size. Oh, it's $1 trillion company. That's not the same as the market. So there could be multiple products inside Apple. Each one has its own market, as you mean. The iPhone market is different from this, from the iWatch market. So each one has a market of a sub-market. So this is called as a total addressable market, or a TAM. So if you just put in TAM in Google and it says TAM Apple, it just say things Apple, okay, you want some Apple, and TAM is 20th anniversary Macintosh. I mean, that's not what business people mean. So clearly, many of the search engines don't work for business people. So that's one. And so this has been the state for Google for a long time, and of late it's been getting better, but this is a recent search. Even now it doesn't work that well. So you think, how many of you have used ChatGPT? I know I can see you all, but I'm assuming most of you have heard of it. ChatGPT is this new wonderful innovation from OpenAI company, which allows you to ask questions like this, and then it comes back and gives you a long essay answer. It can help you. It gives you answer not just in terms of links, but summarizes the answer for you in a way that, like, I'm talking to you. So it's in a very human-centric way. But you think that it would know more. Unfortunately, it doesn't. When I say TAM Apple, I'm not sure what you mean by TAM. And then I explained it. Okay, it's total addressable market for Apple. Then it goes on to explain what TAM addressable market means. So then I said, okay, what is the total addressable market? Then it's kind of repeated, as I mentioned earlier. So it goes on and on. Even the most sensible latest interface, it doesn't seem to quite address that. So I'm going to jump straight into our solution. Then I'll go back to why, because I want to give you the solutions quickly. Then I go, if you put the same thing in AlphaSense, my product, so Apple and the TAM, it'll find all variations of TAM, it understands what TAM means, and actually give you the addressable market and actual size, and then give you the specific information coming from experts. And it curates all of that to you and give it to you and says, oh, I've found a ton of documents, but you only need to read one particular line in that specific book. It's kind of like asking a question to a librarian, where can I find this information? And then she tells you, oh, go to this, this building, and then go find out. Or go to the shelf where you may find out. That's not enough. You want to know the specific book and the specific page and specific line. And then you may want to, the other information may be in another shelf in another book in another line. So the real search answer would be like that, or a summarized answer would be just, oh, the answer is this, like an expert would. That's what the search engines should be doing, but that's not what it's doing. So that's where the source of our idea was, that we want to solve the problem in such a way that it is very specific and very clear. Why is this way? What's the problem with search engines? Why didn't they do? Normal search doesn't understand keyword variations. Like R&D means research and development. Some of you may know, and you would expect the machines to understand. The R&D actually means in business terms, new capability, demonstrated potential, commercialization, a lot of different ways to describe the same thing. So all those variants are sort of described. So you kind of like an explosion of number of terms you should search for, not just one. You should actually search for more variants of the term. Search engines have a hard time ranking even for one term, because they have to come up with the top 10 out of thousands of links. How can they find top 10 out of thousands of words at the same time? They clearly wouldn't. So it's not meant for them to solve. So if you go back into the counter argument for the problem, not only do they need to know the ranking, more importantly, they need to know what are the words that look like the similar word, but not quite. There are other words like internal research operations that are not quite R&D or variants of the term, but not quite similar to the main term. So you have to know the exact meaning. So you would think at this point, hey, that's not very difficult. I'm just going to go to a dictionary and find out. You can go to share repurchases and maybe a Wikipedia or something. You'll find out all the variants, and maybe you can find out, and you can get to the point. But it really requires an expert to understand what it actually means. A dictionary wouldn't understand the real use of the word and the use of the terminology. It's quite a complex problem. And if you look at the word outlook may be described differently in a dictionary, whereas in the real world, market share means outlook means market share in the business term. So the way we use terminologies is different from how a typical dictionary applies. And that's where the main problem is. It's really, really a hard problem to solve. And so what I'm going to do is to now get into now that we sort of understood the pain point of the problem, and then the core problems, and then how we try to solve them. So what we decided to do was, what was clear was that the business terms were not understood by search engines. That was a clear takeaway. So we decided, okay, we're going But search engines are really good at finding a keyword once you give it to them. So we said, okay, we're going to then tag it. If there is a word like Outlook, I'm just going to tag the word Outlook with a lot of different variants of the term in the book itself. Like it's almost like going back to a book and you find a word and you go to the page and write, scribble on the side, oh, what this means is the following things. And then now you go re-index it and go back to the glossary and say, now find me where that is. So now not only is the original book being tagged, but also the explanations that you have given tagged on top of it is also being re-indexed. And so it can now find the actual meaning. So in other words, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you what it is, then you're going to re-index and share me the results. So that's kind of the one solution to this problem, right? The second thing was what you want to find is not exactly on the keyword, on the thing that you want to find. It could be around it, somewhere nearby. So that's called proximity. Proximity means close by. So not only do you want to find the word, you want to find the word related words. Not only do you want to find the related words, but also related words that are close by, not only right next to it, not on it, but next to it. Because this allows you to find the semantics a little better. So that's the second part to the innovation. Third is you want to show more of this. People had a problem seeing all information in one shot. So we want to see more information, but not overwhelming them. And so we want to show them not just 10, we want to show more. Now I'll get to how to not overwhelm them, but we wanted to make sure that they at least got to the key pieces of information and show as much as possible. And these are three main innovations we kind of wanted to do. And there are more, but I'll come to that. These are three main ones: the way we tag the related words and the way we actually make the search engine sort of go back and re-index itself and find the new related terms, and also find the proximity close to it. These two dramatically increased the scope. So our goal was to first increase the scope for all the missing ones. It was missing keywords before, it was missing the words around it before, it was missing other documents before. So we want to fix all of that. Now, in terms of solving how to then present them better, we then decided to build a much better user interface, and I'll come to that in a second. So as I continue further, the first example of how this problem sort of multiplies is when you look at this revenue outlook for Apple type example. If you go to Google and say, hey, revenue outlook for Apple, and Google comes back and gives you some example. And the real clear problem with Google is that it doesn't use the keyword hits. It doesn't use the actual location in the actual document. And so we have to go through each. I went through this before. I'm reiterating here, and you have to download each one, and you cannot generate a summary. There's a lot of problems with getting to an answer as opposed to finding some link. Putting in a keyword and finding some link is not an answer. That's kind of like to my prior example, if you go to a restaurant, for example, if you ask someone what's there to eat, and the person just says, okay, here is a long 40-page menu, and that's like, well, that's too many for me to look at. Or then they ask you, well, I don't know, whatever you want to eat. That's not an answer either. You want to be able to give them specifically what's a special today and what would be great over here. There's a lot more information you can share and make this process a lot quicker. That's the problem with all search engines, is that they don't get you to an answer. They just give you even more information. So we wanted to avoid that. Good that we expanded the keywords, good that we expanded more documents. Now we made the problem even worse in some ways, right? So we have to fix that. So how did we fix that? That now comes the interface. This is the problem of, now we find more important things we were missing before. Now, how do we solve going back to what actually mattered? So we said, oh, you know what, we're going to find relevant pages. And first, we're going to make it easy for people to scan inside the document without necessarily opening each document. So we're going to provide them a list of documents on the left side, as opposed to what you found in Google, which is over like this. As opposed to that, we're going to provide this on the left side. And then Google didn't really do anything on the content inside the document. They just gave one line here. That's it. Instead, we said we're going to provide more insights inside each document, exactly what you should be reading in response to your query. If you type Apple, and we know what Apple means because it's a ticker symbol that you can find in the business, in any stock market. And you can find revenue outlook. We have, if you look at it, there's a yellow line underneath it. It means that we understand what you mean. That's the yellow line should say. So AlphaSense understands what you mean. I got you covered. And so it expands that. It expands this to this type of a revenue outlook. It expands this to this understanding. That's what it means. I get what you're saying, right? That's what the yellow line means. I get what you're saying. Now I'm going to give you exactly what you want inside this document. I'm going to give you the document as well. I'm going to show you exactly where to look fun and save you time by clicking through. When you click on it, it takes you right inside the page. By doing these things, we were able to not only show more information, pertinent information, rank them even better, and we are able to cut the time. So people that used to take, hours and hours now take minutes or seconds. Now, this is great, but how do we possibly understand the semantics for all possible words? After all, there are thousands, millions of words out there. Each one has multiple ways of saying that. How do you possibly teach a machine so many different variants? Well, it has been a difficult problem. Clearly, that's why it wasn't solved. But over time, in the last 7-8 years, it's been solved better with AI, artificial intelligence. We are able to make the machines not just respond to what you're trying to say with actual code. We are also able to let the machine understand the relationship between words and able to learn by itself. And when you learn more math, you will appreciate the algorithms behind how the machine learns. So I would really urge to pay more attention to calculus next time when you're paying attention to your equations and algebra next time. So it really is the reason why if you don't learn algebra, you learn algebra 1, algebra 2, calculus 1, calculus 2, it's going to get really difficult to understand how you can make a machine learn, because machine is just going to say, you wanted an answer Y, I got an answer. It's different from Y. I want to really get to, that particular answer. How do I learn? You're going to say, well, it's kind of like, blind man leading blind man. You're going to say, well, make a left, make a right, make a left, make a right, so type of a thing. And that algorithm is all based on math. It's going to compute what is called as a difference between the two words, and then it's going to iterate through the whole process. I'm not going to go into the math level here. That would be another topic by itself, but I want to just focus on innovation portions that are at the high level, at the interface level, as at the product level. Maybe another topic, another day we can look into how the math works. But the idea is that you want to use machines to understand words and their meanings and the related meanings, and that helps us solve the problem of coaching the machine manually, one word at a time. That's really our problem now. We solved it, but we can scale it. Scaling means making it work from, okay, we can teach the machine 1,000 words, 2,000 words, but how can you teach the machine 1,000,000 words? So that's where the AI comes in. So the second thing is to ranking these words and ranking these scores. We assign scores, we assign rank based on how it understood. So there goes algorithms on what did I find inside, and what kind of information is there inside? How relevant is it? Based on how much information was used to describe my problem, how much information was used, how much importance was it given. If you read a newspaper, if you are reading a newspaper where there's a headline with thick bold mark, and then there's paragraph headings and stuff, they're using words in the paragraph for a reason, because they know that it's important words. So if you want to know what's important in the document, you will simply, one approach would be to simply start reading headlines and paragraph headlines. It's the simplest way. Same thing here. If a word is important for a particular document, you look at the headlines and look at the paragraphs, first line of each paragraph, things like that. You start translating what humans understand to be as important back to the machine. So that's how we started ranking each page on the importance of what it means. Then we looked at the specific hits like a search engine would do. Then we ranked them to its proximity to the important words and lines. So there are a lot of thought process that goes on into figuring out what's important. What's important to us humans is somehow should be translated to what's important to computers if it really has to understand what you're trying to say. If you want to use what Google does, which is the rank based on popularity, used to be at least that way. Of late, obviously, it understands your content way much better. But then that was a case that it was ranking based on just popularity, and then so it was not quite getting there. So those are the kind of I'll leave you with the top top approaches on how to rank, how to index them, how to collect this information, how to present this. So that sort of turned out to be the solution with our innovation baked in for the problems we are trying to address. And how does it actually map into a solution for for end users? And it makes them save a lot of time. As I said before, they can work faster and smarter. They don't have to control F. And if you use Windows, you use Control F to find something inside a document. Many of you are probably using Mac. Even Mac for document, it's Control F is a keyword combination you use. It's really annoying to have to go back one document at a time. But at business where time is money, people annoyed by this and they don't want to lose time. So once we solved the problem, we were able to surface meaningful results quicker, and they can spend more time for higher value tasks. Same thing with the. I'm sorry. So it's not just time savings. What happens is that when you have more time, you're able to pay attention to more important things. So that's like the kind of important side benefit. Second is the missing information is a huge problem. What you don't know, you don't care for. And that can be a huge blind spot. It's like driving and not looking at your rearview mirror at all. That's probably, you don't want to do that. Whenever you learn driving, you probably want to look at all sides and behind, constantly keep looking at them. So it's important to not miss critical information that's around you. So same thing with searches as well. You can't just do one search, keyword search and accept it. And you have to be critical about what you're missing. So that's the second eye opener. Third is when you're able to do things better, guess what? You are able to focus on higher order activities, which is idea generation. You're not toiling over basic stuff. And so you can actually think of what else you can do. So that's idea generation. And third is when you're able to do these things, you're able to pay attention to each other and make a next person smarter. And by sharing these ideas and collaborate with this person. So your productivity goes up as a team, not just as an individual, but as a team. So these things have orders of magnitude productivity benefits. And when you usually have productivity benefits starting with time savings, then you have typically a winning product because it's going to be sticky. Sticky means it's going to be making you want to come back, like Facebook or Snapchat or whatever tools you guys use. It's sticky because you want to come back to listen to what your friends are saying. So it's kind of like that. It makes you better, so you want to come back and look for it. So that was a story. And then, but even though in 2008 there was AI wasn't quite there, as we evolved and built the product and improved the value, AI kicked in around 2014 timeframe and was beginning to show its value. We pivoted to doing way more AI-centric search as opposed to statistical machine learning type approaches that was prevalent before then. And then that is the foundation of most successful search companies of late, including Amazon, Google, Netflix, etc. So what does AI mean to us? As I mentioned before, finding words and related words would be very important. But the AI gets better through interactions, especially through real-world interactions, right? And so we want to we want to apply to those problems that cannot be defined by if-then-else rules. Like it's like trying to find out what's a cat and what's a dog. You can't just tell, oh, a cat is the one that has got, furry hair and, pointy ears like this. There are way too many descriptions you have to give. So it becomes very difficult. This is kind of the problem. Image recognition is one of the problems that AI can solve, like thousands of problems. Pretty much everything that human does is a problem that AI can potentially solve. So that is the main sort of a breakthrough. So the semantic problem, which is semantic means meaning, and making machines understand the meaning of a certain word, is similar to making the machines understand the meaning of a cat. So it's very similar to that. And so for us, AI is the way that we would make machines understand the intent of a search query, meaning what does it you really mean when you put a word out there? When you put revenue outlook, and as a business person, what do you mean by revenue? What do you mean by outlook? The machine has to understand. And it has to understand in a way that doesn't require me to teach you one word at a time. So that's a problem that AI can solve. And then you want to have other ways of using traditional ways of filtering and whatnot. But then the machines really help you understand the semantics. That's really the biggest problem that we have. So we use machine learning, as I mentioned before, and I want to kind of skip through some of this. But what I would say is that there is a specific field of machine learning and machine understanding in AI called natural language processing, because we are dealing with natural language. Of late, of course, we want to understand more about images, such as charts and graphs and whatnot, even videos. We want to understand more because business information is there everywhere. And so information is there everywhere. And so we want to make sure that we get that, right? And the biggest reason why we want to use this, we want to apply the same semantic search, making machines understand the meaning of words the same as, we'll sort of apply to whether we apply to images or videos over time. So searching by intent is not just a literal keyword, meaning searching by intent also applies to not literal picture that you see. You want to understand the context of a particular image, You want to be able to say, hey, this person is dancing in front of a beach, on the beach or something. So you want to be able to understand the intent. So this kind of the idea of semantic search, semantic intent, kind of translates to beyond words, but it all starts with natural language for us. So that's one. Next is I want to go back to this, go back to this thing I showed you earlier. What it really means is that we want to make the machine understand, hey, not only the meaning of one word, but also the combination of the words. Like sales growth guidance means sales can be talked about in so many different ways. Growth can be talked about in so many different ways. Growth means what will happen, what is expected to happen. So many ways you can explain. And then guidance is, this also has more meaning. So this kind of gives rise to thousands and thousands of variations. And that's really is at the heart of what AI will now help to understand. So to help AI, we can just make it just jump AI overnight, because AI is on a growth path as well. What it could do in 2015 was better than 2012. What it can do in 2023 can be better than 2015. But as the machine gets better, we are constantly upgrading it. So things like these are the ones that we have been able to advance. We're able to identify the trending themes. So what's going on in the market today? Tesla, EV, electric vehicle, or solar are trending themes. These were in the themes 5 years back, 8 years back, or even inflation, or even inflation means prices increasing, or there is a trade war going between US and China, or other countries, whatever. So I think there is what is going on in the world that's constantly changing. So the importance that you give to what you may mean is changing, because we are dealing with the real world, machines are not. So you have to make sure the machines are also caught up with the real world. And so this sort of a continuous feedback on what's going on in the real world, whether it is able to understand the machine, is able to understand the context of a book or a document, and then the real world information being fed into it in the context of what we actually understand as opposed to what's being stated. These are all like more nuanced understanding of how to interpret what it means when you say outlook, right? So this is sort of the context in which we should be looking at. That's why I put the slide up to show synonyms are not just some dictionary static ways of describing the meaning of a different word. It's actually a continuous evolving thing that you see. So that's one thing you have to understand, that these things are constantly evolving. Second is the typical company recognition, or entity recognition, as we call. When someone talks about Apple, we don't know whether they are asking Apple to eat, or when Apple, the company, they want to buy an iPhone. So you want to understand, or when someone tells you don't keep slacking, and you tell in business, are you slacking this? It could be an insult, it could be a bad thing. The slacking could now actually mean you're being productive, communicating with your friend, with your colleague. Whereas 10 years back, if you said you're slacking, that means you're goofing off. That's not a good thing. If you're working for a company, you're going to get fired if you're constantly slacking off. And these days, if you're slacking, it's actually a good thing. So being able to know the difference between slack, the verb, used to mean goofing off, to slack the company is important. And then the fact that Slack the company exists means like Googling, slacking are now words that have become verb. So the verb itself has changed its meaning from negative to positive, and Slack the company is also an additional flavor to that. So it's really, really important to understand, to keep the machines kept up to speed on the terms that we use in the real world. So this is one example why it helps to understand what companies are coming up, how it is to understand. And so this sort of goes into why we need to pay more attention to companies, products and services as we understand the real world, because if it doesn't understand those words, then it wouldn't be able to help you. So that goes to the relevance. I'm not going to go into all the details here, but essentially all this information sort of feeds into the model. I don't know if I'm going too fast, or sort of want to be conscious of time. It's 9:40, so I can go a little quicker to get through the Q&A in the next 6-7 minutes. How does it work, Matangi?
You're good, Raj. I think if you can wrap up in 6 to 7 minutes, we can take questions.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to skip through some of those details here. Well, one idea I do want to talk about is, we talked about words, meaning, semantics, and stuff. In reality, what if any of you have looked at stock market, if you know what stock market is, that's where you trade the company, like you would trade your baseball cards. You can trade, by six. You own a percent of a particular company or a so-called stock by trading on its ticker symbol. Ticker symbol is a symbol given by this New York Stock Exchanges, where this sort of trading happens. In the business world, people sort of assemble in their own particular place and say, I want to buy this much of this particular stock, and then the price sort of settles based on how many people buy and how many people sell. So what happens when they buy and sell is that a lot of it is based on their perception of the world as opposed to the reality. But then perception is reality. And so the sentiment is the underlying term for all this. Is any negative news, any positive news can widely swing the markets, and it's just going to get very volatile, right? Whenever the government says, I'm going to raise interest rates, and that increases the cost of buying a home or buying a car, it's going to have an effect on the demand of a car company. Because if it becomes more expensive to borrow from a bank, you're going to buy less of something. So while that matters, the side effects of that is pretty obvious. For an interest rate, it's very obvious. Whereas someone is dependent on, a company is dependent on a particular chip that's going to come from Taiwan somewhere, and that chip is being delayed by 2 months. You don't really see that because it's a toy company over here that doesn't really. You don't really see there's a particular chip that they are dependent on, this particular company, that's going to be delayed by 3 months, in which case your product is going to be delayed by 3 months, in which case your revenue is going to drop by this much this year, and so your stock is going to drop that much. And so that information is not understood quickly enough. And so the machines are quicker at this. But just like we said, how difficult it is for the machines to understand even one word, understanding the context of what's happening in the real world, how the words are affecting the supply of chip to a supply of a toy to a supply of a stock and the price of a stock, it is so much is not a perfect science that people base their pricing on sentiment. They just say, I think it's going to go. I think they are totally screwed, and they just like overprice and causes all the volatility. This is one of the biggest problems we wanted to solve by taking off some of the false feelings and say, we want to get you the machine to tell you what's actually happening based on text, and then we tell them what's positive, what's negative, and we show you exactly why so, and give you even a score for that. This has been extremely useful for people. And in a text, when you see this thing, you'll be able to understand where is it coming from. So if this person says, we are reporting guidance, which is a projection involving 300 basis points, which is 3%, a drop, then that means that, you want to see that. Or the long-winded half an hour call a company has a call with the stock market people, the analyst. You want to know that something negative was being said. You don't want to listen to 30 minutes after that, because the market is going to react by then. So time is money, and sentiment drives what drives the market, and what people say, what drives the market. What people say is translated and disseminated to people. You will be decimated if you don't disseminate fast enough. So you disseminate this information quickly with sentiment, allows you to track what's going on and be able to react quickly. So that's the value of these semantic. It's not just search, it's not just making someone be more productive. This has got massive implications to stock market, implications to how people understand it, because you have a cascading effect of, if you understand better, you can make better decisions. Making better decisions makes overall world less volatile. When it's less volatile, everyone is calmer. So we're not just solving a problem for a few analysts, we're actually solving the problem for the world as a whole, if you think of it, because a calmer stock market based on real information is calmer for everybody. So you want to get to the root cause of the problem, which is really all starting at search engine index. So you want to go all the way back to the search engine index not being able to understand keyword. So I want to stop right there, because this is going to go into a lot more depth into sentiment analysis. And I can go into all this detail, but let's pause right here. Have any questions?
Team, feel free to unmute and ask your questions. I'm sure this is first of all, thank you, Raj. This is very, very insightful and thought-provoking and everything. So thanks for walking us through your journey. Maybe I can get us started while the audience is warming up. This is sort of a parallel to what you talked about. I want to start by I don't know if we have actually ever had a founder, with, funded company on our session. So would love to hear about challenges or any that you had as you were trying to get funding for your company, et cetera. Like, how did you go through that process?
Sure. So with the I would answer that by showing where we are today. Today, product is being used by thousands of financial clients, over 3,500 companies worldwide, 70%, 97% of Dow Jones uses it, 78% of the S&P. These are, by the way, the top companies that S&P means, and then global consulting, 73%. So I think you can find that many of these people use it. The best way, having raised funding in the past, is you have an idea, you want to, in the early days, you want to show that your idea is in fact worthy of solving, and the problem pain point is really is worth solving. And so you want to talk to customers, users, potential users like you, and know that it is in fact. If you have your pain point yourself and you know for sure it's really huge, that's one thing. But I would start there. Once you know that, you want to articulate that in terms of how big the problem is. Second is you want to know that you have a realistic solution, ways of solving. Before you even know how to get to the solution, you want to know what would be the ideal solution for you, and sort of get the imagination going. So when people say, oh, okay, I want to solve this, that all sounds great. It's like saying, oh, I got cancer as a big problem, I would like to solve it. Well, that all sounds fine and dandy, but then how do you actually solve it? And so you want to then provide the key innovations that you think will solve, and then you want to have some proof points to solve. So that's where you have to bootstrap. Bootstrap means you want to bring a very hacked solution. You don't have to have anything pretty, even a simple solution. Our early versions of product didn't look this pretty. It looked very ugly. In fact, it was just one button, and then it would just show answers right in the middle. In fact, all we did was to pull SEC filings. SEC is a government entity where companies that publish their quarterly reports put them, and we essentially looked at free documents they had, one of the most boring documents, and we put some important sections from it, and we said you can get even more value. Even a most boring document, freely available, one small portion has value in it. And so we showed that. So that's what I would call a bootstrap. So when you showed that, it is harbinger, meaning it is sort of a indication of what things to come. And so you know that you have something interesting. So that's when you want to go talk to like-minded investors who know the problem. You are barking up the wrong tree. If you're talking to an investor who doesn't know your market, doesn't understand how big the problem is. So that's where I would start. I would stop there because there's a lot more to, when you are starting off early, you want to identify how big the problem is and have some idea of how you want to solve, how it can be solved and how it can be done, bootstrap it, and then go to an investor that actually understands the problem to take a bet on you, and that you are the person to solve it. I would start there, and then over time, of course, you take it to customers and actually get customers, and then you go back to them, show that, look, I told you, there is proof, we all believed in it, there's even more proof. Oh, now I want to hire more sales and marketing people, believe in this, let's all believe in this and continue hiring more. And last year we raised over $500 million to go. So that took about 10, 12 years, but that's when we started off. It was just my own capital or founder's own capital. We put a small amount of money, our own time. Often time is the best investment initially.
Thank you, Raj. Samanyu, looks like you have your hand up. Do you want to come off mute and ask a question?
Is that query that I should read from the chat bot, or?
Sure, but Samanyu had his hand up, it looks like, probably by mistake. But yeah, Snigdha has a question. Feel free to address that, Raj.
What does Alpha Sense do?
Right, it helps people search for information about businesses. Like if you have, maybe I should give you an example of, let's see, let me give you another, share a different screen. Maybe I can share this screen and say what it can help with. Okay, so I'm going to share this screen and say, let's say you want to find out, businesses often want to find out, let's say, hey, I assume you use Nintendo. Do you like toy games? I take that for a yes. So The Nintendo is a company, as you know, that builds video games for you to play. And so if you type that in Google, what's the latest product release? Not only are the kids interested in what Nintendo has to offer because you want to play with it, the business people are interested to know because they want to know that they can trust Nintendo to be creative and attract more kids in the future so that business can survive, so they can buy their stock and make more money with it. And so they go to Google and find out Nintendo product releases, what's coming. They get some information. Now they have to go in and find out. Now they have to go dig in and find out what is it exactly happening. So what we do is when you go to Nintendo to my AlphaSense product and you do product release, it's able to tell you the top 10 Switch games. It's able to tell you exactly what to look for, a lot more useful than this. Do you agree? So this information is useful for people to get to it without having to open each one. Make sense?
Yes.
Thanks.
I have a question. My name is Rini Trutha. So when we use AI, there's a chance that our data is stored when we use that AI. So my question is, how can we ensure privacy in our data when
Yeah, so
we use it?
sure. So unlike Google, this is not free. How Google makes money is that they ask you to put in query. It says it's free. And so nothing is really free, right? So what you're really giving Google is that they are doing it for free, but then they have to match advertisers to know who's interested, who may be interested in their product. So if you're searching for Nintendo, if you're looking for a product, Nintendo may be interested in knowing, I want the people searching for Nintendo to see my latest product, and they want to show the products on the right side. And so Google makes money off of advertisers. And so it's an issue for companies like that depend on revenue streams meaning making money from companies. Whereas AlphaSense gives it to business people, and we charge them a monthly fee. In return, we don't sell their information. We don't use their information to show advertisements. We don't operate like that. We don't run like that. And so your information as a business user is not. We don't even collect any information from business people. And even if bare-bone information such as email ID is used, it's not shared with anybody. So it's what you search on, what you use it for your business is completely held private.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Raj, I think Snigdha had a question in chat.
Are there any humans? So the question is, are there any humans involved in indexing and ranking the data, or is it all done through AI? Yes, is it all done through machines? The humans are involved in giving sort of the guidelines in shaping the machines. So are humans involved? Absolutely. It doesn't have a mind of its own, not yet at least. So it's going to be decades before AI and machines have become as good as humans. So humans, of course, are involved in sort of teaching the machines, hey, if you look for the following things, these things may be important, and so rank them higher like this. So in terms of forming rules, in terms of telling the machine by giving it data, so giving it sample, it's sort of like teaching as opposed to telling exactly what to do on a per data basis. It's kind of teaching it, similar to how a music teacher would sort of play something for you and say, listen to it and play like this. So it's sort of similar to that. Once you learn the idea of playing music, you sort of know how to play more music on your own. Similar to this is, we're going to show you what's important, kind of. No, you got the hang of what's important. Now do more. That's where humans are involved, but not more than that.
Raj, this is Sri. I really like your product. I could see the in depth of what your product does, and I just wanted to know: do you have the consumer version of your product, or it's only the corporate handles it? That's the first question. The second question, what I want to ask you is like, can you please explain or like your personal experience, how you overcome the failures? That's what the students and who are coming out of the school and everything. I personally, my perspective is like, I don't want them to fail and just move on to their life in a different direction. I just wanted them to fail and take it as an experience and move on. I want your personal experience to be explained if possible. Thank you.
Good. So I'll answer the first question quickly so I can get to the second one, more important one for students. No for consumers. Consumers don't see as much value to be able to afford this. The content that we get is expensive, and because we don't show advertisements, we need to charge. So the companies have to make money to pay the employees, pay the vendors, partners. So we have to make money somehow, and we pay only through monthly fees. If someone wants to buy, they can buy, but they would not find as much value in paying this much money for search engine service when they can do it from Google. So we don't target them because there's not enough value. So we don't sell them. But if you want to buy it, you can buy it if you really wanted to. So it's been mainly for businesses. Second question is failures. So, and how to overcome it. So if you have, so before you talk about failure, you want to know why you are doing something, right? That's where the problem and experiencing the magnitude of the problem comes in. If you really feel it's worth it, the problem is big and it's worth it, either it's financially or it's maybe intellectually challenging for you or personally. For someone who has lost loved one or for whatever reason, they may think, oh, this cancer is so nasty, I'm going to determine to solve this problem. I've done a PhD in some things. I've learned all this stuff and I really feel that I'm going to learn even more to address this particular type of disease. I'm going to commit my time and energy to do. So there's a personal experience that they have to use that motivation to sort of solve this. They don't need any other extra incentive. But for others, for solving a problem like this is just, we just felt, if you're coming from a business background or other kinds of background, you may want to know, is it worth it? I just like to solve problems that are worth solving. And I want to solve it in a business-centric way and make it worthwhile and make it worthwhile for everybody around, not just for the users, but also for the investors. So, and that's the second part. So you want to make it worthwhile. The third is someone who's just a researcher who just likes to solve because it's intellectually challenging. Someone who's digging into, why the black holes exist? Are we all alone here? This type of intellectual problem. So in regardless of what direction what motivation you use, you're going to have a failure. It's just given. Failure doesn't mean anything except that you are not succeeding as of today. That's what failure means. Failure doesn't mean permanent. It means that you try to solve a problem, an algebra 1 problem, for example, you get a wrong answer. You can't call it a failure, do you? If you guys call it a failure, then you should not be going to school at all. So on a daily basis, you take a question paper, you solve something, you're going to get few of them wrong, few of them right. Can you call any one of them you got wrong as a failure? No. Similarly, what you consider in the real world when you're trying to solve a search problem, for example, we're not going to solve every single issue. And so we're going to have wrong answers or so-called failures. But we know that it's worth pursuing. You don't stop learning algebra just because you got a few questions wrong. You pursue to solve more and you learn more. And as you get better, a couple of years from now, you're going to say, well, that was easy. That was tough then, but now it's so easy. Same thing here. People forget. The reason why I think failure is given too much importance is because people forget that when you were a child, you didn't pay as much attention. When you grow up, somehow every single thing is being looked at as if it's a big deal. So as long as you maintain the mindset of, if I get it wrong, so what? I'm going to just go back and try again. I think that is what I think one should take away from your childhood experience as you go through school. Remember that mindset, that the same thing you just have to repeat. And if you don't get an answer first time, try again or ask some help and try again. That sort of a thing. Hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. I think there are a couple of questions in chat, so maybe we'll take the one from Sunita and Kavya, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure. Does this org provide any internship programs? We provide internship for college graduates only because of the privacy confidentiality issues that we have with customer data and other data for businesses. And so they have a requirement that we have people over, I think 18 or 21, some age requirement to go up. But we hope to have an affiliate program where we can have people below those are minors to actually work on problems they can work on sort of through a non-profit type entity, so that there is a sort of a easy way to encourage people to work on these issues. So that's why we don't hire interns for high school and undergrad. High school at this time, but undergrad we do have interns. We do get interns from them. Does the data ranking change depending on current searches? Also, can AI find patterns in popular searches such as certain sites becoming more? Yes, absolutely. So data ranking change during depending on current searches. Yes, it does. So we do want to understand that you are looking for something and more people are looking at something. We know that there's a trend. And so the user searches give us a signal, one of many signals we take into account to figure out what's important to people. Unlike Google, we don't have billions of users. We only have tens of thousands of users. And so we can't truly depend on that. But in a micro level, for a given particular user, their user history, we know they're working on something. We are there to help. The product is there to help you get to finish your work quicker. So obviously knowing what you've been working on means that I can rank even better for you if I know what you're working on. So your searches will play a role in improving that cycle. And then can it find patterns in popular searches? Yes, that's also called trending. So it's not just your own particular search, but search across other people that are similar to you and maybe even across other industries. So all of that information is sort of baked in. So the answer is yes, we do use, but only to the extent it helps you.
Thank you, Raj. I know we're a minute over. Yeah, so I think Andrew sort of, I'll echo Andrew's comments. It's incredibly insightful and very motivating presentation. So thank you for walking us through your journey. So for me, the takeaway is, when you started the problem solving, and you sort of alluded to this during your presentation as well, is that it wasn't the perfect solution. It was, okay, we're going to just create additional synonyms that may be more relevant for business users, right? Sort of less sophisticated. But, and then you sort of iterated on it to get more sophisticated, both with the UI, as in the user interface, as well as technology evolved, you brought in AI, or machine learning initially, and then AI. So there is continuous improvement that you're doing on, the problem still is the same, but maybe you're finding more, you're peeling the layers a little bit more as you solve certain problems. So it's not, it's not that you have to have a perfect solution to begin with. You start somewhere and then you continue to iterate on it. And again, hopefully, people see it as an evolution as opposed to, I started there, it didn't work, so I'm going to drop, kind of thing. So thanks for walking us through, your journey, and it's very motivating. I'm sure a lot of folks would be interested in sort of reaching out to you and, learning more, etc. So we'll try to funnel that through Agora Math Circle and see if there is additional forums that we can have where students can engage with you as well. Yeah. All right.
Thank you
Any parting comments?
As well. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Any parting comments from you?
Yeah, so I think it's great that you are putting this together, and I know that sometimes people be working. I'm much older than you. You can tell from the gray hair, but hopefully this is useful. But I think one thing that I always, as adults, we also like to do is that we also like to learn from kids, because what as I mentioned, we adults fail is that we fail to understand that that you have to. It's a new day tomorrow, and you have to start fresh again. And sort of in some ways, you have to learn. You sort of have to forget failings and then learn something from it quickly. Forget, don't dwell on it too much, negative or way too much positive, and move on to the next day. So I think that's very important. Kids have the tendency. That's one thing that I learned from, try to learn from kids is that. And so as you learn from these talks, I think it's important to not lose what you kids bring to the table, which is enthusiasm. And I am part with that. Keep that enthusiasm alive as long as possible. All right. Good luck.
Thank you for that. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
traincircle.org or comment below and we'll reply back. Maybe. And if you want to see practice things or anything about us, you can visit our website, which is basically the end of the email but without the info and the end. So bye!